Wajhi Khalsa, Wajhi Fateh. I'm joined on the show by Mr. Tanmanjeet Singh, Dhesi. Pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you very much. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh Ji.
I've heard great things about the Dhesi family and obviously particularly in Gravesand. Can you please tell me more about the contribution your family has made both within Gravesand and also to the Gurdwara itself?
Well, I think obviously what we've managed to achieve in Gravesand is a collaborative approach, where the whole community has come together. And obviously, our family has made a small contribution towards that also. We're, I think, very, very fortunate in the Gravesend area that we've got one Gurdwara which is obviously belongs to everybody. It's such a huge institution, 8.5 acre site, which obviously comprises the lecture theatre that we're sitting in at the moment.
Okay.
We've got libraries, you've got the IT suite, playing fields, and a plethora of other activities within it. A daycare centre for the elderly, a Punjabi school, a sports hall. All that has been achieved because the community has come together. For the last 10 years, there's been a unanimously elected committee, which I think speaks volumes, for the approach within Gravesend.
But I understand your family's been instrumental in both in the construction of the Gurdwara and giving financial support. Is that correct?
Well, I think that's something where from within our family. Obviously, my father has been the Mukh Sevadar for the Gurdwara, so he's obviously he's contributed of his time, and I think like other families, we also wanted to contribute to this community initiative, and that's Sikhi ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਤਾਂ ਹੈਗਾ ਹੀ ਦਸਵੰਧ ਦਾ. So contributing to the Gurdwara, that's I think and to Panthak and other community initiatives, that's something I think which is ingrained within the Sikh ethos. So that's something that our family definitely believes in also.
Okay. Present moment, you are no longer the Lord Mayor of Gravesend. Is that correct? I mean, what's your current job or title at present?
Right. Currently, I'm the cabinet member within Gravesend Borough Council, and I have responsibility for the business and partnerships portfolio. That obviously comprises of encouraging business within our community, as well as anywhere where the council has a partnership with any other organisation. That's also something where I'm involved in. So, for example, with the leisure centres and with our civic centre, the Woodvilles, all those facilities. That's something which is within my portfolio.
Okay.
Obviously, being mayor last year, I think that was a great honour. And a privilege, and that was, I think, hopefully I've conducted myself well, so that the Sikh community, as well as the wider community, could be proud of those efforts.
And how do you think the Sikh community and the wider community had taken your appointment?
I mean, as I just alluded in that, I hope the Sikh community was proud. I think the wider community also, we were very, very warmly received. So my wife, who was a mayoress for the year, and I, wherever we went, we were very, very warmly received. It's one of those roles where, while I'm a Sikh, so obviously, that's ostensibly shown to everybody. But you're actually representing the entire community. So the Gravesend community, if they've unanimously elected you as the mayor, you've got to be there representing them, and that's within the borough, also within the wider county of Kent, and further afield. So we had the chance of going to France for a town twinning initiative, as well as to the Punjab as well. So
you mentioned Punjab there. I understand Gravesend has been twinned with the city of Jalandhar.
That's right.
Is that something that you were instrumental in?
Well, Mandeep, I think that's one of the key achievements, I think, of the council, in the recent past, is that we've managed to twin now with a city in the Punjab, where a lot of the community, almost 10% of the community in Gravesend, emanates from the Punjab. So obviously you've got those historic and cultural ties, and we've merely formalised an informal link. And that's something which I think is a source of great pride for the Punjabi community, but also, I think that will help to break down some of the barriers and some of any misconceptions that the wider community, the majority community, might have about the Punjabi community. So I'm hoping that we'll have greater ties
Okay.
between the two areas.
As a layperson, obviously you became Lord Mayor. What is the procedure of becoming a Lord Mayor? Is there some kind of election process that you have to go through?
That's right. Yeah, I mean, hopefully, amongst your viewers, you'll have several youngsters. I'm hoping, and others as well, who will actually want to become involved in the democratic process. If you actually wanted to become an elected official, in order to become mayor, you have to be an elected councillor. So that's the first step. So for me personally, this is the 6th year that I've been a councillor.
Okay.
But first of all, you're elected by the wider population. So those elections happen every 4 years. And then from amongst those councillors, the councillors themselves elect a mayor.
Okay.
So we have 44 councillors in Gravesand, and they would then have an election on an annual basis. So once a year, they would convene and they would elect a mayor.
Okay.
So that's a process.
Okay. So if anyone out there, obviously you now know what the process is if you do want to become a Lord Mayor. Going back to your childhood, was it your dream to become a Lord Mayor, or did you have other avenues that you were looking to explore in terms of career paths?
Yeah, I don't think becoming the mayor was obviously was a wish when I was young or growing up, but it's just something obviously which transpired with different events in my life. But within my childhood, obviously I was born in the UK. I was born actually in Berkshire, so
Okay.
near Slough, and then we moved to Gravesend when I was 2 years old.
Okay.
And since then, obviously, being schooled locally, actually for about 5 years, my primary education was actually in the Punjab,
Okay.
in India. So I actually had the chance to study in Mohali, Chandigarh, and also in Anandpur Sahib. So after the primary schooling, then I came back to the UK, and the rest of my education has been here.
Okay. Did you study to university degree level?
That's right.
How far did you go?
Yeah, I mean, Mandeep, obviously after the secondary schooling, which I obtained from the local Gravesend Grammar School, I actually did my Bachelor's of Science at University College London. That was in mathematics with management studies. So obviously that was of great help to me in a commercial, in a business
Yeah.
sense. Then I actually did a master's at Oxford University, which was in applied statistics.
Okay.
So applied stats is mathematics and stats applied in different fields. So in medicine, in industry, in commerce. So obviously that's been very helpful in a business sense. Then my master's in philosophy, that was at Cambridge University. That was actually in South Asian history and politics,
Okay.
and the links, obviously, with the UK. That I think has been very, very helpful to me, in terms of my public life, in understanding,
Yeah.
the psyche of, the Asian community as well as the
Yeah.
wider European community.
Yeah.
I think that was more for my interest in current affairs and in history and politics generally.
Okay. And just touching about the family business, in a sense, in construction, has the family business needed to adapt given the current economic climate?
Definitely, Mandeep. I think obviously, our family's been engaged, in construction for over 2 decades now, but the family members who, they started from scratch, so obviously they had to encounter a great deal of hardship. I think, like most of the other first generation, Punjabis that came over, they, worked double shifts. I know the likes of my father, and uncles and others, they had to work extremely hard to build that base. So they took the business from scratch, and they brought it to a certain level. And then I think it's very, very important for the next generation, the likes of us, who have been educated in the system within the UK, to take advantage of the language and also the IT skills that we've developed,
Yeah. Okay.
to use them to actually professionalise the business. Now, you mentioned about the recession. Obviously, the last 3 or 4 years, I think, have been very difficult for
Yeah.
business widely. But the construction sector has been very, seriously hit by that as well. So,
Okay.
reduced margins, reduced profitability, and reduced work for everybody concerned.
Okay. But it still appears to be a very successful business, even riding the storm. And I wish Mr. Dhesi and his family continuing success.
Thanks
Just
very much.
definitely a rising star in the area of Gravesend. And finally, what message would you give to individuals who are looking to achieve their goals?
Well, look, to the Sikh channel viewers out there, I think, if you have a dream, if you aspire to do things within the community, if you're doing it on a personal level, realize your dreams. Yeah, if it's within the field of business, within the field of law, any enterprise, definitely reach out for those goals. But what I would also say, there are a lot of talented individuals out there. To the youth out there, I would say that, look, you want to get involved in the wider mainstream process, whether that's the democratic process, whether that's the voluntary sector. You actually contribute to the Gurdwara, do seva within the Gurdwara as well. All of those skills are essential if you as an individual you're to progress, and if the community, the Sikh community and the wider communities to progress. You've actually got to put something back into the community, because we've, I think, gained a great deal, whether it's in education, whether it's within the security that's been offered, by our parents, and now we've got to build upon that and take it to the next level.
Okay.
Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Now joined by two brothers, Govinda Singh Basra to my immediate left, and his brother Sukhwinder Singh Basra. Can I start with you, Govinda, first?
Mm-hmm.
I understand you've got a successful security business.
Yeah.
Can you just briefly tell me your background, how you got into this business, the work that you were doing before
Sure.
the company that you now set up?
Absolutely. I was a police officer for a brief while, prison officer, security industry is something that I've been involved in now for over 20 years, as a bodyguard as well. I teach martial arts, teach unarmed combat. When you say briefly, I've had quite a colourful life. Sikhism, I was born into being a Sikh, but I've learnt now at the age of 43 what it is to be a Sikh, and my journey is just begun.
Okay.
But I'm very proud of being a Sikh. I'm very proud of being someone who I call myself as a warrior. My previous brothers on the last interview were mentioning about how Sikhism is secondary, and I disagree with that. If I may, in this brief interview that I've got, I'm going to start off with a saying called Deg Deg Ko Jahe Barosa, which means Deg is what God gives you. Deg is what you do, that you stay on that path of righteousness, you stay on that path of your conviction of being a Sikh. So that combines the mind, the body, and the temporal, the spiritual, everything in one go. It's not about keeping it secondary, Sikhism being secondary. No, it's not. From the moment you wake up, even if you don't understand what the Japji Path is saying, if you play it, then in your mind you are embracing that path for that day with the conviction that nothing can fail. There's no recession on.
Okay.
Businesses can't fail. You can't fail as a Sikh. And that's what it is to be a warrior, and be a warrior with a smile on your face and a conviction that you will succeed in whatever you do in life, because you're following that path, and therefore God will give you. It's inevitable. The success is there.
Okay. And so you've taken your belief as a strength to achieve your goals and have your continuing success. Is that correct then?
Not my success, because I follow, again, it's about, you could say, well, on one hand, we have our scriptures. We have the Mool Mantra, which obviously recites, it's a very definition of God. It's in our religion, we are unique in that we give that one definition of God. But within that, it also says that you should not, Nirbhau, Nirvair. Nirbhau means you are without fear.
Okay.
Nirvair is that you don't make enemies either. You're inimical to none. So that's what it means to be a saint soldier. So I'm a soldier in that I strive to be successful, but strive to be successful, that success then to be shared, and for that to be almost like a beacon, or to inspire other people, my other fellow Sikhs. So then that way if we are successful, then we can give back to the community. We can inspire a new Sikh generation and say, you know what, Sikhism and being new generation, being an entrepreneur, being successful, training in the gym, your body, your mind, everything, that is a complete package of what it is. So the beauty within Sikhism. And if you can wake people up with that again, then there is no recession. There is no competition with other religions. There is no cultural clash being in the West. Be a Sikh. I'm still learning. I haven't got a beard, but you know what? I haven't got a business suit on today. I'm on about enterprise. Now, you know, if I may quote just one Latin line, non cuccus facit monachum, the robes do not make the monk. The suit does not make the businessman, and the beard does, and the bug does not necessarily make the Sikh either. No, it doesn't make the Sikh either, because Sikh is a disciple to learn. So when I get that and I absorb more of the knowledge, I will grow a beard. I will wear a permanent turban. But you know what? That doesn't stop me from being a Sikh now, and it doesn't stop the generation out there who don't have beards, who don't have bugs, who don't have business suits, from being successful as human beings, as Sikhs, as entrepreneurs. So have your wealth, but share it. And there's a way of doing it if you have that faith on a daily basis. Okay. Deg deg go jahe barosa. That's the saying I would like to say in this brief interview today. Guru Gobind Singh Ji's, they asked him why your warriors can't fail. The Muslim Mughal said, how come your warriors are without fear? He said, deg deg go jahe barosa. And indeed, it does go to that faith.
Okay. It's very inspiring words there. To talk about your business, Leo Security Services Limited.
Sure.
Based in London, what's the size of the operation?
Yeah, national, and there's a lot of competition out there. A lot of businesses said, well, it's quite a saturated market. How are you going to succeed? You succeed because you succeed with integrity. Integrity as far as your workforce, integrity as far as the client, to actually give them.
Move on to Sukhwinder. I understand you've got a retail business. Can you give me some further details? What kind of business?
Yeah, so it's a retail shop that's been running for at least 32 years.
And whereabouts
It's in Gravesand main town centre.
And how have you find the recession? Have you seen any changes to the level of trade? Have you had to adapt?
At the moment, yes, it is quite, you know, it's quite tough out there. But you know, obviously, like my brother, I mean, I can't really. I mean, the summary is there. Brother really told you that you just got to keep faith with God and just hope for the best. I mean, I've still got high hopes for the business.
Okay.
And on a daily basis, you know, I'll give it 110%.
And how long have you been in retail business?
I've been, well, my dad is originally my dad's business. It's been there 32 years. And I've been there since I was actually 12 years old.
And how many employees within the business?
It's just myself now.
Okay.
My dad's actually retired now, full time.
Okay, that's good. And obviously, there's competition from the high street stores such as Tesco, Sainsbury's. How have you adapted to their growing market share?
To be honest with you, obviously, you know, like you say, it's competitive out there. We are finding it tough, but obviously we just try to compete with prices. You know, like these big supermarkets have price wars, we have to do the same.
Okay,
but the market is really saturated at the moment, obviously, because of these pound shops. And eBay's fast becoming, you know.
Have you looked to diversify in terms of other merchandising that you're selling within the shops to compete with those other competitors?
I'm looking to, yeah, in the future. I think, to be honest with you, next year is going to be a big thing. I'm looking to, yeah, spread my wings. So.
Okay. Once again, I'd like to thank.
When I say spread my wings, sorry.
Sorry.
I'll just come in on the success element. Shall I carry on? Yeah. You mentioned how you're doing successful with the recession going on, etc. There was a Wall Street stock trader, and they asked him, you know, there's a Great Depression on, there's a Great Recession on. How come you are still successful? He says, because I don't read the news. There is no recession. So in other words, you carry on striving for excellence within yourself. It's irrelevant what goes on around you. You have to be the center of your own universe. The most quietest part of a storm is within the center. So you keep your center, you keep your identism, you keep your Sikhism. So you keep striving, because success, how do you measure it? Is it against the next person? You mentioned the big retail supermarkets. It's irrelevant, because within the Mool Mantra, again it says it's about addressing ego. So once it's success, does that mean I'm making more money than the next shop? It doesn't matter. A junni, even within the Mool Mantra, the very definition of God, which we try to strive towards as men, Ajundi means outside of time. So success is not measured at the age of 30, you've got a house. At the age of 45, the mortgage is paid off. I've got a Rolls Royce, therefore I must be successful. It's irrelevant. You strive to be the best. You do it every single day, and every day you are a success. Every day you put food on the table. If not, there's a gurdwara and there's langar downstairs. You still strive to be the best that you can be, and therefore God will give you. That's where your faith should go, the younger generation, and that's where you should strive to be. That Sikh warrior with that balance, and your success will come inevitable.
And just as a final few words, what would you say to those young individual Sikhs looking to achieve or look at achieving their goals going forward?
Well, you want me to be brief? I'll say it very briefly. Bole so nihal sasriyakal. Whoever then therefore gives praise to God, he will become enlightened. So you give praise to God and you conduct your business with integrity, you have nothing but success.
I'd like to thank Savinda and Lavinda both attending the show. I'm sure the gain that will inspire those Sikhs out there in achieving their goals.
Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. I'm now joined to my immediate left by Sawan Singh, and to his left, Dhesi Singh Mal. Can I start with you, Mr. Sawan Singh? ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇੱਥੇ ਗ੍ਰੇਵਜ਼ੈਂਡ ਦੇ ਵਾਈਸ ਪ੍ਰੈਜ਼ੀਡੈਂਟ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕੀ ਕੁਛ ਕਰਦੇ ਸੇਵਾ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰੇ ਤੇ?
ਹਾਂਜੀ, ਇੱਥੇ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰੇ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਤਕਰੀਬਨ 15 ਸਾਲ ਤੋਂ ਹੋ ਚੱਲੇ। ਜਦੋਂ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰਾ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕੀਤਾ ਉਸ ਵੇਲੇ ਦੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਇਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸੇਵਾ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ, ਅਤੇ ਜਿੰਨਾ ਵੀ ਇਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜੋ ਵੀ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰੇ ਦੇ ਫੰਡ ਇਕੱਤਰ ਕਰਨ ਦਾ ਹੋਰ ਸਾਰਾ ਇੰਤਜ਼ਾਮ ਜੋ ਵੀ ਸੀਗਾ ਇੱਥੇ ਹੁਣ ਤੱਕ ਇਹ ਗੁਰੂ ਘਰ ਦੀ ਸੇਵਾ ਕਰਦੇ ਰਹੇ ਆ।
ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਿੰਨੇ ਟਾਈਮ ਲਾਦੇ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰੇ ਦੇ ਸੇਵਾ ਕਰਨ? ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਫੁੱਲ ਟਾਈਮ ਇੱਥੇ ਕੰਮ ਹੁੰਦਾ?
ਮੈਂ ਸਾਲ ਕੇ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਫੁੱਲ ਟਾਈਮ ਇੱਥੇ ਰਹਿੰਦਾ।
ਅੱਛਾ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਕੀ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਦੇ ਸੀਗੇ?
ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਮੈਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਇੰਡੀਆ ਤੋਂ ਆਇਆ ਸੀਗਾ ਉਦੋਂ ਤਾਂ ਬਿਲਡਿੰਗ ਵਰਕ ਕਰਦੇ ਸੀਗੇ।
ਅੱਛਾ,
ਬਾਅਦ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਫਿਰ ਆਪਣੇ ਦੂਸਰਾ ਇੱਥੇ ਕੰਮ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਜੋ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮ ਆਈ ਸੀਗੀ ਸੇਫਟੀ ਹੈਲਮਟ ਦੀ ਹੈ ਨਾ।
ਅੱਛਾ, ਅਤੇ
ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਰਕੇ ਤਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਉਹ ਮੋਟਰਸਾਈਕਲ ਦਾ ਕਰਕੇ ਸੀਗਾ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਉਸ ਮੋਟਰਸਾਈਕਲ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਵੀ ਹਿੱਸਾ ਲਿਆ ਸੀਗਾ, ਕੰਟੈਸਟ ਕੀਤਾ ਸੀਗਾ ਜਿਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਪਾਂ ਉਹ ਜਿੱਤੇ ਸੀਗੇ, ਅਤੇ ਉਦੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਫਿਰ ਮੈਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਸ਼ੋਪਾਂ ਦਾ ਕੰਮ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕੀਤਾ ਸੀਗਾ।
ਅੱਛਾ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਗ੍ਰੇਵਜ਼ੈਂਡ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਦੇ ਸੀ? ਅੱਛਾ, ਖੂਬ ਸੇਵਾ ਕੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਦੇ ਵਾਸਤੇ? ਇਕੱਲੇ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰੇ ਦੀ ਸੇਵਾ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਰਦੇ ਕੰਮ?
ਨਹੀਂ, ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰੇ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਹੁਣ ਆਪਣੇ ਹੋਰ ਵੀ ਆਪਣੀਆਂ ਸ਼ੋਪਾਂ ਕਰਦੇ ਸੀਗੇ, ਉੱਥੇ ਵੀ ਕਾਫੀ ਆਪਣੇ ਗੁਰਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਵੀ ਬਾਹ ਪੈਂਦਾ ਸੀਗਾ, ਅਤੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਵੀ ਹਰ ਵੇਲੇ ਦਾ ਬਾਕੀ ਬਰੀਜ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਵੀ ਹਰ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦਾ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਦੇ ਰਹਿੰਦਾ ਸੀਗਾ, ਅਤੇ ਬਾਕੀ ਤਕਰੀਬਨ 25 ਸਾਲ ਤੋਂ ਸੁਪਰ ਮਾਰਕੀਟ ਦਾ ਨਾਲ ਕੰਮ ਕੀਤਾ।
ਅੱਛਾ, ਕਾਫੀ ਬਿਜ਼ੀ ਰਹਿੰਦੇ ਫਿਰ?
ਹਾਂਜੀ।
Now turning to Mr. Mal, understand you're senior member of the Gurdwara committee. What data responsibilities do you have?
For some time I haven't been very good in health.
Achha.
I haven't done much lately, but I've been very active before for so many years.
Okay.
So I've done mostly stage and other works in the management as well.
Achha. ਤੁਸੀਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਕੀ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਦੇ ਸੀਗੇ?
I was a student to start with. Then later on I started in the factory. Then I bought a taxi firm. I've been a taxi driver myself as well. After 10 years then I got involved in the building work and insurance work as well. I used to do selling the insurance. Then I started into the taxi business. I had my own company.
ਆਪਣੀ ਬਿਜ਼ਨਸ ਸੀਗੀ?
ਆਪਣੀ ਬਿਜ਼ਨਸ ਸੀਗੀ
ਇੱਥੇ ਗ੍ਰੇਵਜ਼ੈਂਡ?
ਗ੍ਰੇਵਜ਼ੈਂਡ 'ਚ।
ਕਿੰਨੇ ਚਿਰ ਬਿਜ਼ਨਸ ਚਲੀ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਸੀ?
about 10 years ਮੈਂ ਟੈਕਸੀ ਬਿਜ਼ਨਸ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ।
ਹੁਣ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਫੁੱਲ ਟਾਈਮ ਰਿਟਾਇਰ ਹੈਗੇ?
ਹੁਣ ਮੈਂ ਫੁੱਲ ਟਾਈਮ ਰਿਟਾਇਰ ਹਾਂ।
ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰੇ ਸੇਵਾ ਕਰਦੇ?
ਹਾਂ, ਸੇਵਾ ਕਰਦੇ।
Thank you.
ਹਾਂਜੀ।
I'd like to thank
Okay.
both Mr. Mal and
Thank you
Mr.
very much
for attending the My Side show.
Okay, thank you.
Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Now joined by Devina Singh Baines to my far left, and to my immediate left is Commander Singh Mand. Starting with Devinda, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕੀ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ?
ਕੰਸਟਰਕਸ਼ਨ ਸਾਈਡ ਦਾ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕੰਮ ਜੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਕੰਸਟਰਕਸ਼ਨ ਸਾਈਡ ਦਾ।
ਕੰਸਟਰਕਸ਼ਨ ਦਾ ਕੰਮ ਇੱਥੇ ਗ੍ਰੇਵਜ਼ੈਂਡ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕਰੇ ਸੀ?
ਹਾਂਜੀ ਬੇਸ ਗ੍ਰੇਵਜ਼ੈਂਡ ਤੇ ਉਦੋਂ ਕਰਦੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਯੂਕੇ 'ਚ ਆਲ ਓਵਰ ਦ ਪਲੇਸ ਮੋਟਰਵੇ ਪੇ।
ਅੱਛਾ ਮੋਟਰਵੇ ਦੇ ਕੰਮ। ਅੱਛਾ ਇਹ ਕੰਸਟਰਕਸ਼ਨ ਕੰਪਨੀ ਆਪਣੀ ਬਿਜ਼ਨਸ ਹੈ?
ਹਾਂਜੀ 89 ਸਟਾਰਟ ਕੀਤੀ ਸੀ।
ਕਿੰਨੇ EMPLOYEE ਹੈਗੇ?
ਅਪ ਡਾਊਨ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਰਹਿੰਦੇ 100 150 70 ਹੁੰਦੇ ਰਹਿੰਦੇ ਅਪ
ਔਰ
ਡਾਊਨ।
ਰਿਸੈਸ਼ਨ ਕਰਕੇ ਕੋਈ ਫਰਕ ਪਿਆ ਆਪਣੇ ਬਿਜ਼ਨਸ?
ਨੋ ਰਿਲੇਸ਼ਨ ਨਹੀਂ ਠੀਕ ਹੈ ਜੀ।
ਅੱਛਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰੇ ਦੀ ਸੇਵਾ ਬਹੁਤ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ?
ਸਾਰੇ ਕਰਦੇ ਜੀ ਮੈਂ ਇਕੱਲਾ ਥੋੜ੍ਹਾ ਕਰਦਾ ਸਾਰੇ ਕਰਦੇ। ਇਹ ਕੰਮ ਹੀ ਸੰਗਤ ਦਾ ਇਕੱਲੇ ਦਾ ਕੰਮ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੋਈ ਵੀ।
ਅੱਛਾ ਠੀਕ।
ਹਾਂਜੀ ਹਾਂਜੀ।
Also understand ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦਲੀਪ ਗਨ ਖਰੀਦੇ ਸੀਗੇ, ਕਿੰਨੇ ਪੈਸੇ ਲੱਗੇ ਸੀ?
12,350 ਪਾਉਂਡ ਲੱਗੇ ਸੀਗੇ ਆਕਸ਼ਨ ਤੇ ਲੈ ਵਾਲੇ। ਹਾਂਜੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਲੋਕੀ ਜਿੱਤੇ 700-800 ਬੰਦਾ ਸੀ ਉੱਥੇ ਇਹ ਆਕਸ਼ਨ ਬੈਟ ਹੋਈ ਪਰ ਲੱਕੀ ਵੀ ਵਿਨ।
Very good.
ਹਾਂਜੀ ਥੈਂਕ ਯੂ।
Dr. Paminda is executive member of the Gurdwara at Gravesend. ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕੀ ਸੇਵਾ ਕਰਦੇ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰੇ 'ਚ?
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ। ਮੈਂ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰੇ ਦਾ ਸਟੇਟ ਸਕੱਤਰ ਦੇ ਤੌਰ ਤੇ ਸੇਵਾ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ ਤੇ ਐਗਜ਼ੈਕਟਿਵ ਕਮੇਟੀ ਦਾ ਮੈਂਬਰ ਵੀ ਹਾਂ ਤੇ ਮੇਰੇ ਨਾਲ ਹੋਰ ਮੇਰੇ ਦੋ ਵੀਰ ਹਨ ਜੋ ਸਟੇਜ ਸੇਵਾ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਨ ਜੀ।
And ਤੁਹਾਡਾ family professor ਇੱਕ ਭਰਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਔਰ younger brother politician ਹੈ correct ਹੈ ਇੱਥੇ ਇੰਗਲੈਂਡ 'ਚ?
ਮੇਰੇ ਵੱਡੇ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਭਾਈ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਸਰਦਾਰ ਤਰਵਿੰਦਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਮੰਡ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਤੇ ਮੈਂ 1986 ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਕੱਠਿਆਂ ਨੇ ਲਾਲਪੁਰ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਕਾਲਜ ਤੋਂ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ MA ਕਰਕੇ ਮੈਂ ਫਿਰ ਇੱਧਰ ਇੰਗਲੈਂਡ 'ਚ ਆ ਗਿਆ 90 ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੇ ਫਿਰ ਉਹ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਦੇਵ ਯੂਨੀਵਰਸਿਟੀ ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤਸਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ MPhil ਕਰਕੇ ਤੇ 5 ਸਟਾਰ ਕਾਲਜ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਬਤੌਰ ਪ੍ਰੋਫੈਸਰ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਦੇ ਉਹ ਲੈਕਚਰਰ ਲੱਗੇ ਰਹੇ ਆ। ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ 15 ਸਾਲ ਉੱਥੇ ਲੈਕਚਰਰ ਦੀ ਸੇਵਾ ਨਿਭਾਈ। ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਸਾਰੇ ਪਰਿਵਾਰ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਧਰਮ ਪਤਨੀ ਤੇ ਉਹ ਆਪ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਵਿੱਚ ਪੱਕੇ ਤੌਰ ਤੇ ਰਹਿ ਰਹੇ ਹਨ ਤੇ ਮੇਰਾ ਛੋਟਾ ਵੀਰ ਅਵਤਾਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਮੰਡ ਜੋ ਕਿ ਫਗਵਾੜੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਰਹਿ ਰਹੇ ਹਨ ਅਤੇ ਉਹ ਉੱਥੇ ਦੀ ਲੋਕਲ ਰਾਜਨੀਤੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਰਗਰਮੀ ਦੇ ਤੌਰ ਤੇ ਹਿੱਸਾ ਲੈ ਰਹੇ ਹਨ।
ਇੱਥੇ UK ਤੁਸੀਂ ਹੋਰ ਕੰਮ ਕੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ?
ਮੈਂ ਸੈਲਫ ਇੰਪਲਾਇਡ ਹਾਂ ਜੀ, ਟੈਕਸੀ ਦਾ ਕੰਮ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ ਤੇ ਇਹ ਵੀ ਮੈਂ ਸਮਝਦਾ ਕਿ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰੇ ਦੀ ਸੇਵਾ ਆ ਉੱਥੇ ਪਬਲਿਕ ਦੀ ਇਹ ਸੇਵਾ ਮੈਂ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ।
I'd like to thank both Paminda and Devinda for attending the show and wish them continuing success in both their careers.
Thank you.
And I'm joined to my immediate left by Mr. Gujaran Singh Chatwal, and to his left, Devinder Singh, his son, and his uncle, Inder Singh Chatwal.
Thank you.
Gujaran, I understand you own a company together with your son, EDC Direct Limited. Can you tell me a bit more about the business, where it's based, and what kind of business it is involved in?
We started this business in 1975 in Gravesand, and a small basis as a normal retail shop, and slowly, gradually, we picked up business in electronic business in Gravesand, and we moved completely from this and grown up this business from here to other towns. Went to Bexley Heath and Crayford.
Okay. And the business itself, I mean, what is it in particular? Do you manufacture electronic components or?
No, we just purely retailer of electronic goods, LCD,
okay,
TV, camcorder, videos. That's our main dealing.
And the business, is it based purely in Gravesend?
No, Gravesend and Bexley Heath.
Okay. Devinder, you also run the company. What's your day-to-day responsibilities in the company?
Well, I started in the company about 20 years ago.
where my father set up the foundation of a retail outlet.
Okay.
And I looked at that and developed that, and then opened up another branch in Bexley Heath. But I wasn't quite satisfied with just retail. I was looking at other things outside of the four walls of retail, and we developed a commercial side of our business, where we are now currently supplying insurance companies with replacement electronic products, and supplying other commercial ventures that require consumer electronics.
Okay. Obviously, EDC Direct Limited is a father-son business. Can I ask a question? How has it been working with one and each other? So I can ask Karen first.
Yeah. Well, I started myself in 1975, and from there on, it carried on. And after nearly 10 years' time, he was in uni. And when he finished his study, he'd done land management degree, and he said, "Your work is too long hours. I have to have my own. I like to do developing and building work," and he wanted to go different line completely. Then by the time he came on 1984, recession came, and then there was no jobs. Property side went down completely, and then Devinder joined me, and there was a big success. My life had changed completely. He was so looking forward to work with me, and he'd taken full responsibility of business, and we opened another branch in Bexley Heath. From there on, he carried on a lot of business. He converted the business to insurance and export. His efforts were great. It changed my life completely. I'm really glad he's come in my business.
I think initially it's very difficult working. The old school have got their ways of doing business, and it's sometimes very difficult to try and impose your ideas because they think they know, and they do. They've got the experience. They've done it and they've been successful. To bring in new ideas is sometimes quite difficult, but once they get their head around it, they embrace it, and it's worked for us.
And in terms of staff, how many employees would you have across the two branches?
There's 30.
More employees in one particular branch as compared to the branch?
Now, the way the business works is that the retail side, we have a number of employees, but the majority of our employees are based on the commercial side, which deals with other businesses and our insurance replacement arm.
And obviously you've seen the recent news about Comet going into administration. How have you adapted to the current economic climate?
I think we've always prided ourselves on customer service, and our staff are very knowledgeable, and I think that's probably kept us going as a business, that people understand if they come to EDC, they're going to be dealing with people who know their business. And we still have a personal touch to our business, although it's developed and got larger. We've still made sure that we've remained on a level that we can still give very personalised service.
And are you looking to expand further, apart from the two branches you have already?
On the retail side, no, but on the commercial aspect, yes. And we're always looking at new ventures that we can get involved with.
Now can I introduce you to Inder Singh Chatwal, who's actually the brother of Gurjit Singh, but not involved in the business, I understand. Can you please give me further details about your day-to-day job?
I also started a few business myself, In 1971, I started insurance brokerage, which I'd done about 20-25 years. So I was the managing director of the company, which I sold now. I'm retired. So apart from that, I was running a driving school also. So that I'm doing since 1969. I'm still doing it. It's very good, senior. And plus, I was doing a Magister of Peace since 1989. So it's a long time. That's a good job, really. Social job and mixing with the other people, and seeing what's happening in the courts. It's very good. And now I'm retired, but still I do some service, for the community, which I do surgery 1 hour every Thursday here in Temple. People have to take any responsibility, they want to take sponsorship, photos, any passport, anything. I'm still doing that, free of charge for anything comes.
Obviously, you've had a successful career working. What would you say has been your main achievement, and what advice would you give to those people who are looking to start out in business?
I think if you are stable, you work hard in your own business, I give you advice, that's really good, So you are your own boss, You're not frightened from anybody, you know what is going to happen. And if you are an employee, then you got a lot of problems, and other things, But if you're working your own, okay, in the beginning, everybody find difficulty. But as the business is growing, you gradually pick it up, So I think it's a very successful business. Thank you.
Same question to both Devinder Gajaran as well.
Well, starting business is difficult, but if your business successful, you enjoy it. You enjoy it because you're your boss, and you enjoy your life different, Working with somebody else is different completely. And this way, I would say, encourage old and new generation, if they can achieve something or start a new business, lot of lines in this time of the year, they can start new business and get into it, and you can grow easily if you work hard for it.
Again, a question to Devinder. What simple advice would you give to those who are starting out in business?
I think there's 3 aspects when you're starting off. The first primarily is hard work, and is a lot of grind, and you've got to do the hours, but you've got to look at a goal, and you're happy to do that work because there's going to be there's light at the end of the tunnel. The other thing is timing. You'll have a bit of you've got to be in the right place at the right time, and there's also a little bit of luck. If all those things go with you, then and you've got your mind in the right place, I don't think there's anything that can stop you really.
I think the problem is this new generation, when they start business, if they earn a little bit, they start showing the thing, they're buying big cars, these cars, they like spending the money, then they just go down. So they should look after the expenses also, in the beginning, so that you could do the business properly.
As Sikhs, have you found any difficulties within your business or looking to expand your business? Any issues you've been faced with?
I think if you're confident about what you're doing, I think the fact that you're wearing a turban is forgotten about. There's many a times when I've walked into a room and I'm the only Asian person in that room, and I've totally forgot that aspect. You're talking with people and they appreciate what's coming out of your mouth than rather what you look like. Then I think you're respected for that. And then after that, they may put the questions, oh, you're a Sikh. So, but no, if you're, yeah, absolutely. So if you're confident in what you're doing, then I don't think that bears any relevance, to be honest. I think it's actually a good talking point. And you do get recognised again because you are so different in appearance. People will recognise you the next meeting or the meeting after.
Same to Gajaran?
Yeah.
So you've started a long time before Devinder.
Well, I asked the old new generation to say, try to get into the business and just yourself, make sure, work hard. Don't think you're Indian, don't think you're a Sikh, just work hard. People recognize you straight away. When I came in this country, and when I went to my first job, nobody knew, there was no Indian, but no, leave alone Sikh, there was no Indian in that company. And now I started a job, they respect me so much afterwards. They look at your work, they don't look at your skin, they don't look at your pagdi. They just say, you are a hard worker, and they respect your work all the time. I will ask people, work hard for anybody, then you get a good return.
Again, same question to Inder.
Well, as I said before, well, when I joined, as a magistrate, in 1989, when I was Sikh like this turban, I was wearing a kirpan, everything, baptized man, but everybody respected me. Within 20 years, 25 years, I didn't find any difficulty, any prejudice, anything like that. All the wearing a turban, everything, everybody was respecting me. So I think people should join that side also. You know, they should go. They should do some work for the code also. There's a lot of vacancy. People should apply there also. You know, and they should do something for the community. You know, which is very good. Thank you.
Basically, I just want to add, wearing a turban doesn't hold you back. I think it just enhances you.
I think a lot to do with, as you firstly mentioned, it's, I guess, please correct me if it's wrong for me to say this, people look at your business is what you are performing, what business service you are providing, and then your religion then comes secondary. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I'd like to thank Devinder, Kachan and Ninda for coming on the show, and obviously wish them continuing success, and I'm sure they've been inspiring to a lot of Sikhs out there in the UK and also throughout other parts of the world. As a special thank you to Tanmanjeet, I'd like to present this award to him. He's been very inspirational in organising this inaugural show, Marketing Sikhs Enterprise, and in particular organising the guests to appear. So I'd like to thank Tanmanjeet from the Sikh channel for organising this inaugural show. Thank you very much.
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਫਤਿਹ ਜੀ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਦੇਖ ਕੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਖੁਸ਼ੀ ਹੋ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਤਨਮਨ ਸਿੰਘ ਨੇ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਸਾਰਾ ਕੁਝ ਅਰੇਂਜ ਕੀਤਾ ਤੇ ਥੋੜੇ ਜਿਹੇ ਟਾਈਮ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਾਫੀ ਸੰਗਤ ਨੂੰ ਇਕੱਠਾ ਕੀਤਾ ਤੇ ਬੜਾ ਅੱਛਾ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਬਹੁਤ ਬਹੁਤ ਥੈਂਕਸ ਹੈ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਅਵਾਰਡ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਜਾ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ ਉਹਦੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਬਹੁਤ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਵਧਾਈ ਹੋਵੇ ਥੈਂਕ ਯੂ
ਸਿੱਖ ਚੈਨਲ ਦੇ ਦਰਸ਼ਕਾਂ ਦਾ ਅਸੀਂ ਤਹਿ ਦਿਲੋਂ ਧੰਨਵਾਦ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਸਾਰਾ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਇਹ ਦੇਖਿਆ ਹੈ ਅਤੇ ਇਸ ਉਚੇਚੇ ਤੌਰ ਤੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸਿੱਖ ਚੈਨਲ ਜੋ ਗ੍ਰੇਵਜ਼ੈਂਡ ਸ਼ਹਿਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਏ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਈ ਉੱਘੇ ਕਾਰੋਬਾਰੀ ਨੇ ਪ੍ਰੋਮੀਨੈਂਟ ਬਿਜ਼ਨਸਮੈਨ ਵਿਦਿਨ ਦ ਗ੍ਰੇਵਜ਼ੈਂਡ ਏਰੀਆ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਸਾਂਝੇ ਕੀਤੇ ਨੇ ਅਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਆਸ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਇਹੋ ਜਿਹੇ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਉਹ ਹੋਰ ਸਮੂਹ ਦਰਸ਼ਕਾਂ ਤੱਕ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਉਣਗੇ ਇਸ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਨਾਲ ਆਪਾਂ ਗੁਰੂ ਘਰ ਦੀ ਕਮੇਟੀ ਦੇ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਵੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਧੰਨਵਾਦ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਜੋ ਗੁਰੂ ਘਰ ਦੇ ਪਤਵੰਤੇ ਸੱਜਣ ਨੇ ਸੰਗਤਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਵੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਸਾਂਝੇ ਕੀਤੇ ਨੇ ਅਤੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਮੌਕਾ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਸੰਗਤਾਂ ਤੱਕ ਆਪਣੇ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਪਹੁੰਚਾ ਸਕਣ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ